You're thinking, well, wait a minute. Episode 1 or is it episode 2? Well, we had a little bit of some trouble on our first episode that we did on Tuesday. That was actually completely my fault. I'm your host, by the way, Sam Rawlings. And what happened was we had a little trouble with our audio. Specifically, I didn't have it turned on. So not having your audio turned on tends to be a little bit of a problem. So what are we doing right now? Well, today, like I said, broadcasting live from the Railway Museum of Eastern Ontario, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 p.m. Today, there's just a couple things going on today. First off, I'm going to show you a little bit about the history of our station itself and how it became a museum. And also, I'm going to play two videos specifically. One was sort of a promotional video that was from 2016, so it's about 4 years old now. And one's really old. It's 23 years old. It's from our Jiggerfest in 1997. It's produced by Shaw Media. It's a really interesting one. I will apologize ahead of time for the quality because, it's 1997. What do you expect? It's not 1080p. So to start off, we'll look a little bit about our station. So our station is the Canadian Northern Station in Smiths Falls, Ontario. If you don't know what that is, it's about an hour outside of Ottawa, about an hour and a half outside of Kingston. I could be wrong about those. I'm not good with numbers. I'm a money guy, not a number guy. So it was started construction in 1912 by Canadian Northern. Here's a nice picture of it. So this is from this picture is from 1912. I think it's going up. There it is. Yeah, it's up. Okay. So this is from 1912 when they first started building the station. As you can see here, the station is not finished. So you have the background there. But as you can see, that kind of window where my mouse is, but you can't see my mouse, isn't filled in yet. The tracks aren't completely in, and the boardwalk still is not completely in. The awning on the other side is not in completely. It's still being built. And also the signal right above the operator's bay is not installed. So the reason this station was made was because in 1912, Smiths Falls, like I said, in Ontario, was the capital, the manufacturing capital. Well, not officially the capital, but a manufacturing hub in all of Ontario, and some could even say Canada. See, what had happened was Smiths Falls was very unique. They had the Canadian Pacific Railway going through, and they also had the Rideau Canal. That's really significant because it allowed easy transfer of goods to and from. So you could easily have steamships going through the Rideau Canal, and you could have many, many trains going through many times a day. So we had a couple industries. The biggest one was one of the biggest ones, I should say, was Frost and Wood. And they produce farm equipment. We also had a nice RCA Victor. RCA Victor, you probably actually have seen RCA before. RCA, they continue to make TVs. I know, in fact, actually, the TV that I use in my house, we use RCA Victor. Oh, that was some big thunder that I just heard. I don't think you can hear that, but it's really thundering outside. It's not raining just yet. Where was I? Oh, yeah, the RCA Victor. They produce TVs still. Now, sadly, they're no longer located in Smiths Falls. But in Smiths Falls, they had their record-making machine. Their record-making machine, they had used they made records specifically for things like, I don't know why I said things like. Let me rephrase that. They made records for record players, so the phonographs. So, it's actually very special. The very first Beatles album ever produced in North America, guess where it was? It was made in Smiths Falls. It was made at the RCA Victor factory. Frost and Wood would export things all across the country with their farm. And then also, right near our station, you can't see it in this photo, but it's in the background, was a couple companies, two of them, the Canada Packers, which was a little slaughterhouse operation, as well as Canada Feed Company, which produced feed for animals. So that's a picture, like I said, from 1912 when it was being built. Here's a picture. This is from this year, actually. This was taken by CTV. We have to, of course, acknowledge them so we can use this picture. This is for an interview that we did a couple weeks ago. So this is the front of the station, as to when you're coming in through the parking lot. As you can see here, everything is completed. So this would be 106 years after it was opened, 118 since it first started building. The boardwalk is complete and has been fixed up. The turret up top has its roof repaired, and actually the whole roof itself has been repaired. Now it does need to be replaced. I'll talk a little bit more about that a bit later. And you can also see the signal. So one to show east and west. And from inside of the operator's bay, you'd actually be able to operate that, make it go up and down. The reason I mentioned the operator's bay right there is because this is what the operator's bay would looks like. So the operator's bay would be essentially where things could be controlled from. So in here you have, now this has a lot more equipment in it than what would have been in there when they were in use, just because we have a lot showing off. But in here you can see we have a candlestick phone, which is actually the phone that we use. So when you call us, when you call the Railway Museum, there's a 99% chance that that's the phone we're going to be using. Because if we're ever downstairs, if we're in the office, then we might pick up a different phone. But when we're downstairs at the main level, then that's the phone we use. It was a 1920 phone. Despite being made in the 1920, it's surprisingly good. Like, it has really good quality, like much better than it should be. In here, apart from the phone, the candlestick phone, which is fun. So if you don't know how you use them, you take the one piece and put it up to your ear, and then you essentially speak into the microphone. You got to look those up. It's hard to do them justice. So in there we also have our telegraph machine. For those who don't know what telegraph machines are, they're essentially old-timey texting. So you could send messages to and from a telegraph machine. It was really the way the railways was connected to the outside world. See, because this was, of course, before things like telephones. Telephones were invented, but they weren't popular. Like, they weren't in every home like they are in today. Or you would have party lines for telephone, so it wouldn't be, from one place to the next. The operator's bay, you were able to send and receive messages. So if you needed to send a telegram out, what you would do is you'd go up and you'd pay for the telegram. You'd have to pay first, and then they would send the message for you. So the operator's bay was essentially the center of communication for the station, and really for the community as a whole. So the person there was a telegraph operator, or just the operator. He had many tasks, so he would he'd be receiving and shipping things. He'd be selling tickets. He'd be giving train orders to crews. He'd be sending and receiving telegrams. He'd be doing clerical work, and of course, he'd be representing the railway to the public. So the telegraphy. I'm not entirely sure how it's pronounced because no one's actually told me, despite me working here for many years. It was last used in Canada on the railway in 1972. And it was the original texting machine. You would use Morse code to send messages to and from. So Morse code is a series of dots and dashes. So for instance, a dot, 3 dots meant an S, right? 3 dashes meant an O. A lot of you have heard this before. SOS, dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, dot, dot would form the letters SOS. So that's what Morse code was, and different dots and dashes meant different letters. Now with Morse code, there were 2 variants. There was the international variant and there was the American variant. As a Canadian station, this would actually use kind of a combination of both depending on where the telegram was going. Or where the message was going, sorry. I have no idea why I'm yawning so much. I think I went to bed at like 9 o'clock last night. And no, I'm not a loser. I just, I was tired. I have a nephew, he's 4. And so with the telegraph machine, we actually still do run it. It's a really interesting thing. See, every year we do a North Pole Express. It's not Polar Express. Every time we mention it, we have to legally say that it's not the Polar Express because, of course, that is copyrighted as the movie. So we have to clarify it is the North Pole Express. Lawyers. Well, we don't have any lawyers. We're not that big. But I'm sure Universal has lawyers. So with that, we are lucky enough that Santa Claus, he takes time out of his busy schedule. And he comes down to the station and he goes into one of our connected telegraph operator booths that we have at our Nolan station, which we have just down the track from us. Hey, I'm yawning again. That we have just down the track from us, and that we'll show you a little bit about that on another day. And we will send and receive Santagrams to him, and then you can take pictures with him and get messages from Santa, which is really cool. So that's North Pole Express, not Polar Express, North Pole Express, and check that out. You can actually check that out on our Facebook. So I mentioned that he would be selling tickets. So this is what the outside of, this is the window here. It's the Canadian Northern Telegraph Office. So this was sort of the ticket window. You could go and you could buy your tickets here, and you could go onto the different trains. Different prices, of course, they change over time. So when this was first built, sometimes it'd be 15 cents, which is not that much. Other times it could be $20, and it would keep going up and up as the years went by. The inside of our station, this is the main waiting room. Here we have some beautiful benches. Once again, sorry for the quality. These aren't necessarily the greatest photos, mainly because I took them and I am not a good photographer. These are the benches itself. This is the main waiting room. So I'll start with the benches, actually. The benches, those weren't the ones that were originally in the station. These benches came from the Ottawa Union Station, which is, surprise, surprise, is in Ottawa, in case you didn't know where the Ottawa Union Station was. So the Ottawa Union Station, Union Station isn't necessarily its name. It's actually it is its name, but it's a different kind of name. So a Union Station is where a bunch of different railways would meet together as opposed to having individual stations. So you'd hear Toronto Union Station, there's the Chicago Union Station, I think there's a New York Union Station, but don't hold me on that. And what they would do, and Montreal Union Station, of course, and what they would do is instead of having each of them individual stations, so there'd be instead of having a Canadian Pacific Station, a Canadian National Station, Intercolonial Station, Intercolonial Station, Grand Trunk Station, they would just merge together and make one station. So it was a union because that's where they would get together and be a union. The benches here from the Ottawa Union Station, they were built in 1910. So they're very old station. They're very old benches, but they're in very good condition. And we want to thank, of course, the Ottawa Science and Tech Museum. They were the ones who gave them to us. The Ottawa Science Tech Museum it's called Ingenium Museum now. They changed it a couple years ago because they had to actually do some repairs on their station because they had mold. We don't have mold though, so take that, Science and Tech Museum, but continue giving us your excess material. So these benches came from them because they were getting rid of some stuff there, and they had these nice benches, so they gave us a call, and they said, "Hey, you guys want some benches?" We said, "Absolutely." How do we get them? And they said, "Well, we're gonna put them away in storage permanently if you don't come and get them in the next week." So we said, "Okay, give us a minute." We went to the U-Haul here in Smiths Falls, got a U-Haul and came up that day and got them. And they're heavy things. I'll tell you that. I was one of the people that helped move them. But they're solid wood. And so we went and got them. And they also at the Ottawa Union, not the Ottawa Union Station, at the Ottawa Science and Tech Museum, we had been able to get our hands on a dining car. In 1899, yawning again. An 1899 dining car that will be showing off probably next week. Actually, probably next Thursday. No, actually not next week. Maybe the week after. We're showing off doing the dining car. It's 1899 Intercolonial Railway, then Canadian National Railway. Where were we? Yeah, so the station itself, they're looking at the main waiting room. That's where the benches are. The main waiting room was also the men's waiting room. So you think, whoa, men's waiting room. Were women not allowed to be on trains? Oh, they were allowed to be on trains, but what happened was when this station was first built, it was well, for one, it was mainly men that were going, and also a lot of the men would be there chewing their tobacco. If you've ever seen someone chew tobacco, if you ever chew tobacco yourself, it can get pretty messy when you spit it out. I mean, a lot of the times people use special spit buckets, but at the time there wouldn't be these spit buckets, and you just spit on the floor. The floor would be, I'm going to be honest, the floor did not look good. People use spit. Now, with this, because when this was built, going on the train, especially as a passenger, it was not something to be taken lightly. You know, what'd you wear? You wore your best clothes. You know, you wore your Sunday best. So the women, they didn't want to get their shoes and their dresses, they didn't want them to be ruined by the chewing tobacco on the ground. So they made a second waiting room. It was off to the side, it was a bit smaller, but it was waiting room specifically for women, and no men could go in. If we look back at our station, once again from CTV, thank you CTV, the nearest door to us is the women's waiting room. It's, like I said, it's a bit smaller, but it also has the awning that is right outside, and that awning was used so that you could pull up in your carriage, let the woman out without her having to go outside or in the rain or if there was any inclement weather. So the waiting rooms were for, well, just that. They were for waiting. You could sit in there for till you wait till your train gets there, and you could also, right beside the waiting room was the operator's bay that we looked at just a little bit earlier, and you could also buy your tickets to the train there. I'm yawning again. Oh my lord. So apart from the waiting rooms, and actually our waiting rooms, we turned our former ladies' waiting room, it turned into a gift shop. But with the COVID-19 here, we had to actually change it. So now that is an exhibit that we'll be showing off. We won't be showing it off today. We'll be showing it off another day. It's actually about all of our volunteers that work here and how they were connected to the railroad. Why am I yawning? I forgot to get coffee this morning. Not true, I did have coffee this morning. Maybe there's something wrong with me. So, where else could you go from the waiting room? Well, you could also go to the breezeway. It's a nice picture of the breezeway. Once again, I apologize for the quality. It was a lot, but trust me, this was a much better picture when I took it. Maybe it has to do with the streaming. So with this is where you could sit and you could wait for your train here. It was called the breezeway because it would allow breeze to go through, so it was a lot cooler. And by the way, the Wi-Fi does extend out there. It's not very great, so I can't stream from out there, but if it gets a really hot day, like I know a couple weeks ago, it ended up, actually we got a heat warning. It was plus 35 Celsius. It's about 100 degrees for our American friends. So we just worked outside from the breezeway, which is actually very nice. This breezeway was also used, actually, during the Second World War. Well, hold on a minute. How was it used in the Second World War? Well, Second World War, what had happened was the Canadian Army, the Canadian Expeditionary Force, had used a station, they rented it out, to train paratroopers. That's right, paratroopers. So what they would do at the end of the breezeway, right after where that picnic table is, they set up some ladders and some stairs, and they would teach their paratroopers how to jump, right? Well, not necessarily how to jump, how to land. Because when it comes to parachuting, especially if you're parachuting into an active war zone, like the paratroopers did, one of the most important things is, in fact, landing. Because, landing's a pretty good part of it. Because you're going to land no matter what. So you might as well land in the right way so you don't get hurt. So they would teach them how to land properly by jumping off into the yard. And I yawned again. There's got to be something wrong with me. I should look into this. So I'm gonna show you a nice little video. This is from, I didn't make this video. This is from 2016 by Simon Cowell. So I'll play that now. I hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Smith Falls, a town with rich railway history and home to
2016 by Simon Cowell. So I'll play that now.
The Railway Museum of Eastern Ontario. Indulge in the history of the railway as you step back in time. And home to the station was built in 1912, saved from demolition in 1979. Shortly after, it became a museum that celebrates our region's railway history. Now the museum holds valuable artifacts. These have been restored at our museum so that people like you can have a hands-on experience. You'll get an opportunity to see the machines that were used on a day-to-day basis and learn about the ways of communication on the railway.
I'm actually just going to back that up a little bit. So what we're seeing here
on the railway.
And there you go. That's a good shot. So that's actually our snowplow, Canadian National Snowplow. And that was used for precisely that. That was used for plowing snow. And that's going to be our Tuesday show about. We have a great video we have a great video of it coming in. It's, I think, about 40 minutes long that we're going to show you. And then I'll also explain a little bit about it. And by a little bit, I mean I'll try and go as in-depth as I can. But as you can see, it's a big thing. It's something very interesting to see. I'll try and get a picture of me standing beside it, just that we have more of a frame of reference, because I'm 6 feet tall and it towers over me. It's a giant machine. So we'll just go back to the...
Telegraph was developed in the 1830s as a means of communication between railway stations. It was a very simple process. You utilized a series of dots and dashes that could be interpreted to figure the letters of the alphabet and also compose messages between stations.
The telegraph station is only one of our exhibits at the museum, and the dental car is another.
The dental car is one of 3 old sleeping cars were converted to dental cars. Basically, there was a need for dentists in Northern Ontario. It was all free of charge. You didn't have to send your child, but the car might not be back for a couple of years.
People come to our museum not just to learn about history, but to be part of it. Our museum offers the rare opportunity to sleep in a 1940s caboose, just like the railroaders did. Afterwards, stop by our gift shop and grab a souvenir. To complete your journey, take a ride in our one and only diesel-electric locomotive. We'll see you soon. Visit us at www.rmeo.org.
And there's of course my background screen. And as you could see while it was coming up, I have my taskbar on the side, which is the proper way to doing it. I've already actually converted one of my coworkers, Emily, to do it that way, the proper way of how to have your taskbar. So that's from 2016. It's a little bit older. Some things have changed, particularly the Telegraph office. We've gotten a lot more equipment in there from different time periods. Then also, one of the things that they didn't mention in this video, but that dental car is actually the only one left in North America. You won't be able to find it anywhere else but the museum, just a Railway Museum of Eastern Ontario. And as you can see on screen, rmeo.org, we actually have an online store now. I'm really proud of that one because I made that myself. I think we did that through Square. No, we used Weebly to make the website, and then Square does the processing. It's rmeo.square.site, and you can get all your railway merch there. We also have patreon.com, and from there we actually have a very extensive video archive and an extensive picture archive as well. Pictures that I'm showing you are pretty much a fraction of what we have. I spent days and days putting them together onto a backup drive because we had so many CDs, and that we're going to be putting those onto our Patreon. Those will be Patreon exclusive, and we have many more videos. I'm showing you some today, and I'll be showing some on the program, but we have some exclusive videos that we're going to be putting on to Patreon. On there, we're also going to be working on scanning some of the photos that we have here. I think last time we checked, we had around 1 million photos or so, and then they're from across the ages. So we have some from like 1910, and then we also have some from 2018. So there's a big difference in picture quality for those as well. But also we have so many. So that's patreon.com/rmeo. You see it on screen. Go check that out. It starts as low as $5 a month. So that's a cup of coffee. I mean, not like coffee. It was like Starbucks coffee. So with that, by the way, so instead of getting a Starbucks coffee, give us the money and we can keep putting more pictures on it. We can keep doing these. And so now the video I'm going to show you, this is a really old one. It's about 28 minutes long. So you might, but it's a really good one, I promise. It's from our Jiggerfest in 1977. One of the volunteers interviewed here, John Mulkerns, he's actually downstairs right now. He's still here. So he's a long-time membership. So I hope you enjoy this one. He's actually downstairs right now. He's still here. So he's a long-time membership. So I hope you enjoy this one.
Good day, viewers. What a beautiful, beautiful day in Smith Falls, particularly if you're a train buff. Today we have our cameras at the Smith Falls Railway Museum, and we have a large crowd, and we have all sorts of trains, and we have fiddlers and singers and food, and everything just going great for a big Smith Falls Museum. A Jiggerfest. I don't know where to get this Jiggerfest from, but that's the word, and we'll find out when we're doing some interviews later on just what jigger means and how it relates to the trains. It's a great day, as I mentioned before, for here. They prayed for this good weather for some time now, and their prayers were certainly answered. For those who can't make it, we will have our cameras on the trains, on some of the old trains, on the Wickham cars, and some of the artifacts are going on. But in a short time, we have a diesel down the track right now and is backing in to pick up some cartage cars. And when that train comes down, we'll show you just exactly how the old steam engines and diesels were operated. For now, we're going to take a little break, and I'm going to try and get hold of some of the people who are in charge of this Jiggerfest to come over and tell us and explain what some of the things are all about. You can hear Robert Vaughn in the background, I'm sure, and Robert is one of the coordinators who lives in Ottawa but does his work and his playing in Smith Falls. So I'll see you shortly. Don't go away. I'll be right back. The signal, which probably is not too audible to you, is just giving 2 shorts and a long to signal the diesel is now crossing a roadway.
I just realized I didn't have my microphone on when I said that. So that pause, I just let you know that that was a commercial. We don't have any commercials or sponsorships or anything. But, you know, if you want to sponsor us, we're not going to say no. It's we have no shame, Raid Shadow Legends. If you want to sponsor, just putting that one out there. Okay, we're going back.
We're going to try and get hold of this gentleman here who works on the train to tell us exactly what's going on. How are you today?
Not too bad.
And your name is?
Jim Lonis.
How you doing, Jim? Now, the signals, are they operated here exactly like they are in a regular crossing, or are they
Well, in
operated
a
manually?
regular crossing, they'd be automatic and set by the equipment as it approaches the crossing.
Okay.
But here they're done manually.
Okay, who does that?
We had the guy just across the street just hit the button. There's a button in that little box there, and there's a button in that little box there that sets it off.
Okay, now in a normal crossing, how far down the track the signal starts?
Depending on the speed of the trains at that point, normally it's about a half a mile.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, yes.
So it gets lots of warning.
Yes, because the faster the train is going, the further away the trip has to be, the signal has to start.
Okay, so like the big VIA trains that come through here pretty fast.
They would start at probably half a mile before they ever get to that crossing.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
Yeah.
So you're going to be operating this all day long, are you, Jim? Or as long as they want
There'll
you?
be operations here all day long. Yeah, I won't be involved in all of them, but some of them, yes.
We got some sort of a yellow car coming down the tracks now. How are you today? We get a shot of you in here? Why not, eh? Well, it's being driven by, what's your name again?
Mike Haig.
Mike Hay. Okay, what is this called, Mike?
A jigger.
It's called a jigger, is it?
Yeah.
And what is the jigger normally used for?
Oh, for moving people up and down the track that are working on the track and that.
So like a work crew transportation thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're driving this thing all day, are you?
Well, I guess. Yeah.
What's your name, son?
Matthew Ballas.
Matthew Value. And you're just a passenger. You're not a worker today.
Oh, I help work.
Oh, you do, eh? Thanks very much. We have another little jigger. Is this a jigger also?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Is this one used for transporting material or transporting people?
Just for people. It's a section car.
Section car. And they do the inspecting of the tracks?
Yep, it's a dude. Yep.
Hey, your name is?
Terry.
Okay, Harry, way you go. I had to get out of the way pretty fast. He was going to take me down the tracks. By golly, they're quite a rig. Just think of what the children today are missing unless they come to the Railway Museum in Smith Falls. They don't see these sorts of vehicles traveling up and down the tracks like you and I did a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I want to find out what's going on here, John. I know you got 3 guys pumping up and down. What's happening?
Okay.
Your name is John?
John? Yes.
John who?
Mulkerns, volunteer with the Smith Falls Railway Museum.
And you seem to know what's going on.
Yes, right now we're going to take our engineer back down to our diesel locomotive,
Right.
and he's just going to lock her up. We've shut her down for the day due to a couple of mechanical problems.
Somebody forgot to put oil in.
Oh, something like that anyway.
Big John, tell me, what is this vehicle here?
That is an 1890s hand car. It was actually the hand car existed well into the 1870s, but at that time they were known as lever cars.
Oh, I see, a lever car.
This is actually, I'm glad they mentioned the handcar ride. So we actually do rides on those when our museum is open. Now, we're not doing rides on them right now just because of COVID and we have a ton of regulations that we got to follow. But when we're open regularly, we do rides on those, which are a lot of fun, and I really recommend them. Oh, back to the video.
Car.
And many
Because the lever.
That's right.
Oh,
And
that's
many
fine.
a conductor whose train went into receivership and the collectors on the other end captured the train, they give him the hand car to get back to his original station again. But it was also used for the section men and their equipment to go down track to do repair work when necessary. And even the odd passengers used it too if stuck in the middle of nowhere.
So you answered my question because I'm going to say to you, what in the world it's used for? And now I want to find out.
That's right. Right now it's used by maintenance crews. They carry tools aboard there, oil, pry bars, hammers, spikes, and they do track maintenance work up and down the line. And that was their mode of transportation, was the handcar in those early days.
Have you been associated with the railway as your regular job, or are you a volunteer and have learned?
I'm a volunteer and have learned, and I've been with the museum since its conception.
Isn't that great?
And I'm going to have to step off the track because
Otherwise you're going to be on that handcart.
Right.
Now what is this one coming along here?
This is a 1952 Wickham car.
Okay.
There were 4 sent to Canada from England. They were all
Wickham? I don't even know him. I had to do that, so we're going to skip back to the thing.
made in England. The Wickham car was used again for section crews, engineers, officials with the company, and occasionally passengers were used to be transported across the line with this.
Well, isn't that nice? I noticed we got Robert Vaughn pushing. Does that help it along or what?
No, not really, Al. Robert's just sort of guiding it there.
And Merrill Weeks, he pushes too, does he?
He sometimes pushes, but Merrill's our chief mechanical officer.
And he's the one that's pulling his hair out today.
This a little bit, yes.
If you're leaning hard enough, it looks like you're pushing.
You know all the tricks of the trade. Well, it's certainly interesting for me, particularly I've been hanging around this museum off and on for quite a while, but to actually know what some of the vehicles are and what they're used for, you know, usually you walk by and say, isn't that cute, or isn't that nice? And then somebody says, what is it? And I said, how the hell am I supposed to know? I'm not a trained man. But this is nice to actually get close enough to them and have somebody like yourself, John, and Merrill come along and tell us what it's all about. Now, you're planning a rail by or something at noon, are you?
There'll be a run past, yeah.
A run past?
A parade, yeah.
Okay.
We should explain the reason that we're pushing this. We just have one controller, and we have 2 Wickhams, and the other Wickham is away up the track. So
That's the one with Lisa.
that's the one that Lisa's driving, yes.
Yeah.
So Lisa has a controller. Without the controller, you can't change directions.
Now, your big Cadillac, you're having a mechanical problem with it, or are you okay
It
now?
should be okay now. It was a safety switch problem.
Oh, I see.
Of course, it's been sitting for about 30 years, and
Yeah.
things have corroded up a little bit. So
Now, will it also be in the rail past, or the, what do you call it? What do you call this past you're having?
well,
It's not a Vergata.
no, really. It's a parade of track vehicles.
And maybe we can get a few words on this M260, the old Cadillac, that came from, he was the president, was he not, Mr. Crump?
Yes, that's correct.
And he drove this, or somebody drove it for him.
Actually, someone drove it for him, and he would use this to go up and down the line doing for various inspections and so on. And it was his own private vehicle that he would have possibly to carry, you know, maybe other officials with him, but he used it for inspections of the line.
I saw something in the media there on the weekend that this is on a turntable also, is that right?
That is correct.
Its own built-in turntable.
Its own built-in turntable, and it can be raised. The whole car completely turned around, turntable engaged back into position, and go in the opposite direction.
That's the old sick horn.
That is
The sick horn. That's not as loud as it operates, though, is it?
I beg your pardon?
It's not as loud as it goes louder.
It can go louder, yes.
Now, how is that powered?
That would be electric.
It's electric, is it? So it has what, it's sort of a dyno or something in there?
That's right.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks very much again, John. Okay, while Tim is covering the inside of this Wickham car with all the people around, the children on, I always speak to this gentleman and find out, where are you from, sir?
We're from Orleans.
From Orleans?
Yes.
You're in for the Jigger Fest for the day, are you?
That's what we're here for, yeah.
Are you enjoying it so far?
Oh, we're having a great time.
How about you, honey? What's your name?
Come on, Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte.
Charlotte's her name,
Charlotte's
yeah.
a
A little
pretty
bit
name,
shy.
too. Who's this little guy back in here? You're who?
Julian.
Julian, do you like the trains?
Yeah.
And how have you been on the big one yet?
No.
Are you going to go on it later on?
I'm not exactly sure.
You're not sure. Thanks very much for talking with us. And where are you from, William?
Smith Falls.
You're from Smith Falls.
Do you come to the Railway Museum very often?
Oh, not too often, but
And you enjoying this today?
yeah.
How about these little people back here? How's you? How are you today?
Good.
What's your name?
Jamie.
Jamie, and where are you from?
Smith Falls.
You're from Smith Falls too, and you?
Stephanie Burns, and I'm from Smith Falls.
Oh, I think Mr. Weeks is going to get this thing operating here.
Say hi, Dad. Say hi in there. Hi.
What's your name?
Dylan.
Dylan. And you're are you an engineer?
Are you an engineer?
No, you're not an engineer. Can you help him fix this train, do you think?
No.
No. Maybe when you get bigger you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think we're going to be running. We got to run too. See you later. Bye-bye. What's your name, dear?
Karen.
Karen, you're from Carlton Place?
Yes. Gardner Shore.
Gardner Shore?
Yep.
Away north of Smith Falls.
Yes.
And you're all
This is my wife, Marianne.
from Carlton Place? How you doing, Marianne? So you enjoying the festival today?
Yes, very nice.
Yeah. They got some great artifacts here, have they not?
Fantastic. Yeah, they did
A lot of work to keep them in shape.
Oh, yes.
Maybe some of these guys can come around your house and fix up your house for you. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get this train ride going, we'd be all right.
Yeah, we're having a little difficulty today. You know, as I was saying to Merrill Weeks, the fellow who's getting it running, I said, you know, it's like you're training your dog. You say, sit up and bark, and he won't do it.
We were here Friday and it worked just like a charm.
Yeah, that's right. That's what he was telling me yesterday. What's the matter, honey?
I'm looking for a drink.
What's your name?
Curtis? Is it Curtis? Say something.
Curtis is not very happy because he needs a drink. I hope it's pop. Yeah. Your first trip? You must be the father.
I am.
And your name is, sir?
My name's Mitch.
Mitch. Whereabouts in Whitby are you located?
It's really not too much in Whitby. We're located north end of Whitby.
The north end. Up Simcoe Street?
No, that's actually Oshawa.
Oh, that's Oshawa.
Just west of there, off of Roslyn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm from Toronto originally myself, and I've been down here so long I forgot all the area. Your name is?
I'm Mrs. Mitch.
You're Mrs. Mitch. Hello, Mrs. Mitch. How are you?
I'm just fine.
Are you enjoying your holiday?
Very much so.
And where are you planning to go from here?
Home.
Home.
Yep,
In Whitby.
Home to Whitby.
Roslyn.
Water Lawns, yeah.
Do you think you're all burned up now?
Never. I could do
Never.
this forever.
And where are you from?
From Ottawa.
Ottawa. And you're just down for the Jigger Fest for the day, are you? How are you enjoying it so far?
Very good.
well.
They've got a lot of equipment, have they not?
Yeah.
And
They need a master mechanic though.
that's Merrill Weeks. He's supposed to be. He is. He's a very good guy, but of course, you know, like everything else, when you want to show it off, it doesn't quite work.
Exactly.
Like my kids are great behaved kids, but when somebody comes around, they scream. You wouldn't do that, would
We
you?
don't do that, do we?
And who's this little guy in the corner?
Edward.
Edward? And how are you, Edward? Are you a Florida Panther fan?
It's your hat.
He's not too sure. Today he's a train buff, though. Okay, we have people here on the waiting platform for the Wickham ride, and this lady is from Elmont,
I'm from Almont. She's from Ottawa.
and she's from Ottawa. What's your name, dear?
Savannah Perkins.
Savannah Perkins. Are you enjoying the day?
Yeah.
How are things in Elmont?
Oh, just fine.
I go up to that Legion now on occasion up there in Elmont. It's a good spot.
Yeah, I think it is too.
And you're from Elmont also?
From Elmont, yeah.
And what's your name, sir?
Harry Brown.
Harry Brown. Do you know anybody at the Elmont Legion?
Not too many, no.
You don't frequent it as much as I do.
No. They closed our railway stations.
So you're enjoying the festival today, are you?
Oh, yeah, great fun.
And what do you think about the equipment they have here?
Well, my dad was a railroader, so I rode on a lot of this 60 years ago.
Did you ride in the old Jigger too?
Not on a jigger, no, but on the cabooses and engines.
I learned what a Jigger was today.
Did you? Right. yeah.
Or is, I should say. I thought a Jigger was something you poured liquor in. Now I found it's something different. Nice talking to you.
Right.
Catherine just came upstairs and she brought me water. She's a wonderful worker. Catherine, would you like to say hi?
Sure.
Okay, that was it apparently.
Hey everybody!
Okay, that was it apparently. That's of course the blue screen. I actually don't know why it's going like, there it is. Do, and that was my background again that you saw. So thanks for tuning in. Something just happened. Apparently, connection expired on YouTube. You need to reconnect. Okay, well that's fine. We can do that. Okay, so thank you all for viewing. Like I said, check us out. We have, of course, this every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. hosted live for the most part. You can email us info@rm. Don't laugh, Catherine. You can info us info@rmo.org. That train ride that was kind of mentioned there, we actually are doing those. Now we're not doing those every day, so to do that you actually have to book ahead. So just email us that email, and we can actually book a private train ride for you. They're a lot of fun. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be showing a video of what that train ride looks like. Of course, follow us on Instagram, rmeo.sf. We do a Merch Monday every Monday, which shows off some of the merchandise in our gift store that we have here, as well as a Throwback Thursday every Thursday, which takes a look at some of our pictures, not the ones that we have on Patreon, but some of the pictures or some of the artifacts that we have here. Facebook, same thing, Merch Mondays, Throwback Thursdays, and also one of our volunteers, Graham Roy, you would have seen him actually in the first video I showed our telegraph operator. He posts sporadically on Facebook there. Lots of cool stuff on there. Our website, rmeo.org, rmeo.square.site for our online store, and our patreon.com/rmeo. Check out our video and photo archive, though mostly photos, because mainly we've got thousands of them. We actually have 36 gigabytes worth of photos. That may not seem a lot, but out of photos that are usually maybe a megabyte in size, maybe that's a lot of photos. So check us out, and thanks for tuning in. We just hit our hour mark, so thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you